Average at best cornhole here. Now back during like the peak of the used bag market, 710, they were very popular. They garnered like really high resale values. Now they have a stamp, and we got some corruptions and some fuels here to take a look at for you.
These bags are they're pretty similar, not a ton of differences. The main one being the slow side difference. We have our carpet variant on the fuels, and then a kind of new to us hybrid material on the corruption. And there's a little bit of fill difference as well. Onto the baggage with these, and we'll just start with the speeds. And the fuels, they do have a 9 fast side and a 5.5 rated slow side. And the corruptions are also a 9 on the fast side, but we think they're a touch slower, so we kind of put down as a 5.25 on the slow side. So
that's getting very
I mean that's splitting hairs for sure. But when you throw the two, you throw one right after the other, you can notice a little bit of speed difference where the corruptions are just that little bit slower.
So yeah, we will talk about the materials, and the fast sides are the same. So that's like the Viper, Pro Sniper, Deadhead fast side. Like Justin mentioned, the fuels, they do have that R hybrid material on them. And the corruption, I'm pretty sure that's unique to 710. I know it's unique to us, but I'm pretty sure it's unique to them also. The fuels, they are a Viper R clone.
Template on these, and they're medium, is what we measured, medium to small, but they really feel small. As Craig mentioned, this is pretty much an R clone, but I would say template size, you're more in the RS territory for sure. The weight's pretty even across them. They're probably right around nominal, around 16 ounces each. And that's the biggest things that we see with the templates.
Yeah, they really do feel small. Something about it, every time I threw them, I'm like, man, this is just plays like a really small bag.
As soon as I pick it up, I feel it right away that it feels smaller.
We'll discuss the fill and the flop of these bags. Now, the website, it does state that they have a mixed fill. So we've been talking about this fill in these bags, playing them. We think the fuel, if it has a mixed fill, it's like mixed flats and mixed small discs or whatever. There's not too many round beads, maybe a filler bead or two in there. The corruption, though, on the other hand, it does have some rounds in it, and you can feel them. You can feel them through the materials, and you can tell by the way it plays that there's got to be some rounds in there.
Yeah, I can feel it right away. Like as soon as I grab these, I feel more rounds. Like with each pinch versus these, definitely more flats.
And then as far as like floppiness, I wouldn't consider these floppy bags. No. The pellets do disperse a little bit, but to me, that's more of a fuller bag in a smaller template.
Yeah, and that kind of seems to be the case with most of these smaller template bags. I can't really think of a small template bag that we've had to where we were like, yeah, this thing's super floppy. So it kind of just falls in line with most of them. Bagmanship on these, and as far as we can tell, they're excellent. And we kind of think that that's a big part of the reason why they got so popular, because they are very high quality made bags. I don't have any complaints, no major tears or anything, and these have been thrown a ton.
Leads us to forgiveness, and fuels no doubt had more forgiveness than the corruption. Corruption, like we said, is a little bit more of an active bag. I wouldn't say the fuels are extremely forgiving, though. No. I think they were made to be, but this goes back to that smaller full template. It's going to kick on you. The corruptions, I had some really weird kicks with that bag for some reason. I don't know what it was. It might have been my throw a little off or whatever, but sometimes it hit, and I'm like, why did it do that,
Right. Yeah, I think that's totally related to the smaller template. When we first started getting our hands on these smaller templates, I was a big fan because I like that fuller hand fill, so I'm like, oh, these are for me. But after throwing a lot of them and stuff, I realized they kind of lack that forgiveness, so it kind of washes out the hand feel and the comfort with that when I don't feel that they're going to be forgiving when I hit the board. All right, on to whole bodiness on these, and not what these bags are going to be known for, right?
It's not their strong suit.
Again, template, fuller fill, you kind of lose that whole bodiness. These bags don't really drip in the hole. Because of the smaller template, that one that you're just off to the side of the hole that can swing around and still drop in the back of the hole, I got the fuel to do it once, but a lot of them missed, which, with a bigger template, a floppier bag grabs and drops in. So definitely not what they're going to be known for.
Yeah, there's not enough to hang over and catch that hole or whatever. The good thing is a smaller template. So if you are straight on, it's definitely going in that hole.
Yeah.
We're talking like the ones that you're like, oh, I didn't think that was going to go in, but it did. You're not going to get that with these, I don't think. Especially the fuels, it's a little bit faster, and it has drip because of that. But then the flat fills, it's going to settle, and it, like most of them do. And with it not being that floppy, there's not a lot of room for those pellets to shift in there. Collectability. Now, for being a smaller template like this, we had some success collecting with them. I would say the fuels collect a little bit better. Those flat discs and whatnot tend to, just grab each other and go. The corruption, I've had some bouncing off of the bag I was trying to collect, which I was pretty disappointed. It might have been my spin or whatnot, but it happened multiple times the last time we threw these bags. And I guess it was just the activeness of the bag.
Yeah, and I'll add to the collectability while, we say that for a smaller template, they're collectible, which is true. They're pretty good for a small template. But the smaller template as a whole is harder to collect because you have less space to hit, not only with the bag you're trying to collect, but the bag you're throwing. So you really have to be more on your spot. So I just think that makes collecting overall a little more difficult with these bags. But if you hit the spot, they do kind of grab, tumbleweed, and go in the hole together pretty well. All right, onto the capable shots. I'll kind of start with the corruption. I think it has more capable shots between the two. I was able to cut that fairly decent. I think it's because of the difference in the fill in there. I actually rolled one of those when I actually tried to roll it, but I'm going to chalk that up to more as a fluke. But that showed me that the bag is rollable, because if I can do it, somebody that's pretty decent at rolling bags is going to have no problem doing that. The fuels, you can cut, you can do things with that, but it's more in the average range of that. To me, the capability of that bag is kind of just a hole runner.
Right. And I agree. The fuel, because it is, a little bit fuller and smaller, that's why you can cut with it and stuff. But with that flat fill in there, I'm running holes with that bag. The corruption, that's going to be more your dirty style. It is a little bit slower, so you're going to be able to stop it and block, replace, cut around if you need to. But
well, I think that's kind of probably the benefit of a smaller template. So if you're trying to beat a blocker and you don't want to go up and over it, you're just trying to cut around the corner, I think the smaller template, if you can get that cut action, just gives you a little bit more space to get around his bag without grabbing it.
Yeah, makes sense. Company information, where you can find these guys. Obviously, they have the website, which is just 710cornhole.com. If you get on Facebook, they have the profile page, which is at 710cornhole. And then there is a group, teams or at Team 710. Cost for these series, and at the time of us filming this, they're $97. But I've seen the prices all over the place, and I don't know what causes that. I feel like the 2024 stamp bags were $107 for 710, but then I've seen them on the website for like $87 also. So good luck. Right now they're $97.
Overall on these, solid bags, we get the hype and why, 710 got some following and stuff. And overall, to me, I think it's kind of these smaller templates are more in the niche throwers. So if, that's for you, you like that smaller template with a fuller feel, then, that's what these are great for. But overall, for me, I'm starting to gravitate away from these smaller templates. But don't get me wrong, these are still great bags. You should definitely give them a try and see how that works for you.
I agree with that 100%. If you like a smaller template, these are great bags.
Yeah.
If you don't like a smaller template, you don't like a smaller template, so these bags probably aren't for you, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with the bag at all. Like we said, the bagmanship is great, the cost is fair, and they did play well. You just have to get used to throwing that smaller bag.
And I think that's where we may have struggled a little bit with these, because we're more often throwing, standard template bags, and then picking up these, it's a huge difference. If you take, your standard normal bag, let's just, anything, a Viper, Guardian, whatever, and then you go to these, it's a whole different game. You have to throw different.
So we're going to finish this with, so who do we think these bags are for? And like we said, number one, if you like a smaller template, fuller bag, good full feel in your hand, these bags are for you. I also think they're a little bit more for advanced players over average players. And I think because of the fullness, the unwanted kicks that we received of them, how active those corruption are, someone's going to be able to do some nasty things with that bag.
Yeah, outside of that, the fuel is for somebody that's looking for that hand fill, but that kind of wants to run holes, right? If you're looking for the smaller template and stuff, and you want the more capable shots, then the corruption's probably for you. One thing I'm curious about, and we're going to have our pin post like normal on here to get some conversation going. One question I kind of have for somebody that's good at rolling bags is the smaller template better to roll? Or is it worse? I don't know. I feel like they should roll easier with smaller, less to turn over.
Well, because fuller helps. So
Yeah.
and most smaller templates are fuller. So
Right. So we're gonna have our pin post. If if you're throwing these and you're a roll bag player, let us know. Do you find the smaller template easier or harder to roll than a standard template?
So we're just gonna end this with, if you're gonna be average at something, be average at cornhole.